I want to take you all the way back to 1980. Ronald Reagan had just won the presidency. A young political research group and think tank called the Heritage Foundation independently published a plan. And the intent of that plan was to push the incoming Republican administration further to the right and introduce a more conservative ideology into the White House. The plan was called Mandate for Leadership, and it was a behemoth. 20 volumes, 3,000 pages, literally thousands of ideas laid out for the Reagan administration to adopt. Those 3,000 pages were later distilled down to a simple 1,000 pages, and eventually it was published as a book. Reagan ended up asking the Heritage Foundation to give a copy to every member of Congress, and soon enough, this book became a bestseller nationwide. The Washington Post wrote this about the Mandate for Leadership in 1980, quote, "The Heritage Foundation, a conservative Washington research group, today proposed an action plan for swinging the government to the right as fast as possible. It is clearly a hope chest of the mainstream right wing, predictably coming down hardest on environmentalists and on minority programs, restrictions on the military, the intelligence communities, and free enterprise," end quote. That was written nearly 44 years ago. The Heritage Foundation estimates that within a year of handing over its very first Mandate for Leadership in 1980, the Reagan administration had implemented 60% of their 2,000-plus proposals. Over the next 40 years, the Heritage Foundation would put out an updated version of that mandate every so often. They each had a marked impact on Republican priorities. The Washington Post notes that the Heritage Foundation has long had significant sway over the party. For decades, it was the only outside group that had access to weekly meetings of the Republican Study Committee, which is one of the most conservative caucuses that House Republicans have. Okay, fast forward today. We are up to the 9th iteration of this. What you're looking at now is the original Mandate for Leadership. This one is more commonly known as Project 2025. And while this edition pushes further into the right than any version that came before it, the evolution also highlights the Heritage Foundation's long game strategy. It's been pursuing many of these same goals for decades. Members of the conservative think tank have openly talked about the long-term plans of their movement, making it clear that they're still thinking 3 or 4 presidential elections down the line. It is, in part, a training program, one which the head of the Heritage Foundation promised will develop, quote, experts at killing bureaucracy, end quote. For decades, Heritage has written policy, it's recommended political appointees and personnel, it's backed the candidates it likes, it's pushed the top pick for the Supreme Court. All 3 of the Supreme Court justices nominated by Donald Trump were, in fact, backed by the Heritage Foundation to varying degrees. It's provided amicus briefs for every major legal case of the last 4 decades, including recent conservative victories like the repeal of affirmative action, the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe, the Loper-Bright decision, which overturned the Chevron deference, which kneecapped the powers of the administrative agencies, numerous major cases involving religious liberties, gun ownership and access, environmental policies, challenges to the Affordable Care Act, challenges to LGBTQ rights. The list is long. And while the Heritage Foundation has clearly found a very willing figurehead in Donald Trump, it does not depend on him. The Heritage Foundation obviously has high hopes for a potential second Trump term, but the architects of Project 2025 are clear that their vision is not just about this next election. Project 2025 doesn't die with Trump. It will live on. Joining me now is Rick Perlstein, a historian who's chronicled modern American conservatism. He's the author of multiple books, including the New York Times bestseller, Reaganland, America's Right Turn, 1976 to 1980. Rick, great to have you here. Thank you for being with us.
It's a pleasure, Ali.
Look, before the Heritage Foundation even came to be, its founders were staffers on Capitol Hill. Long story short, they saw that the biggest conservative think tank of the time had withheld some research and policy proposals until after a congressional vote because they didn't want to influence the vote. So one of the founders wrote in the official Heritage institutional history, it was at that moment that Paul, a co-founder, and I decided that conservatives needed an independent research institute designed to influence the political debate as it was appearing in Congress before decisions were made, end quote. So that's exactly what they do. They are getting out there with their ideas and selling them ahead of time and letting politicians use them as their platform.
Yes. The history kind of has three steps. Pre-existing think tanks like the Brookings Institution would do these kind of careful, peer-reviewed studies that were completely ideologically neutral about what the best solution for a public problem is, like say how much mercury could be in, water before it started threatening fish. And then this group, the American Enterprise Institute, came along and they said, wow, if we say that the technocratic neutral solution is a left-wing solution, and we do a careful study proposing a right-wing solution and send that off to Congress, then suddenly we've moved the center to the right because, it's just, we can choose the left-wing solution or the right-wing solution, right? But the left-wing solution was just the neutral scientific solution. And then the Heritage Foundation came along. And this was in 1973, 1974. And they said, let's do away with the peer review. Let's just basically create propaganda, make it look like scholarship, and kind of create study-like objects to kind of persuade people in Congress and the media quite effectively that this is also a kind of neutral study just for the conservative view. And how effective it is really shown by that 1980 Washington Post article that you quoted, where they said, oh, this is the mainstream conservative laundry list. When it was, really a quite radical, extraordinarily extreme group. One of the first things they did, if I may, in 1974, there was a kind of a battle over textbooks in West Virginia. And, the school district there was, assigning Greek myths, for example, to the students to compare to kind of Christian myths. And people got so mad about this that a right-wing fundamentalist blew up the school board building with dynamite. Jeez. And one of the first things the Heritage Foundation did was send a lawyer down to defend the terrorists. And, by 1980, they're seen as mainstream and they're kind of informing the Reagan administration.
Something you said is really interesting, that it's disguised as scholarship. One of the reasons why we do something on Project 2025 on every single show since this has been published is because it's horrible scholarship. It's not scholarship. It's hard to read. It's 922 pages, and your brain's not better for having read it. And I say that because I'd be happy to read lots of good conservative scholarship on stuff. But that is an interesting point. This is a laundry list. It's a bunch of things shrouded in a whole bunch of political language that is just meant to be used by people who need it to get elected.
Right. Grover Norquist, the right-wing tax advocate who makes every Republican legislator pledge never to raise taxes, right? He once said, all we need in a president, meaning us unelected conservatives, is someone who has a functioning right arm to sign the legislation we sent him. In many ways, that's what the Heritage Foundation is doing. It's kind of like what, the right describes as the deep state, this kind of group of people, unelected, who just kind of exist from administration to administration. I think of Rip Van Winkle in the Heritage Foundation, who fell asleep in 1980 and woke up in 2024, could just show up for work on Monday. He would just need a glossary, say woke instead of social engineering. And, they're going to be doing it 20, 40 years from now. And all they're trying to do is create this turnkey operation that was thwarted in a lot of, the reason they only got 60% through was because the Republican Party had a lot of pluralism. Ronald Reagan's chief of staff and the people around him were moderates, right? But those moderates are gone. And, in a lot of ways, Donald Trump is, that strong right arm. He wants to please the conservative movement. And we saw with his judicial appointees that he was just perfectly willing to kind of pass on what the right-wing activist world, elected by no one, told him to do.
In trying to set this up, in that introduction I did, our producer and I were talking about this idea that in 1980 they wanted the White House to go back to more conservative roots. And I was like, what are we back to? You, of course, have written Reaganland, you've written Nixonland, you've written about Barry Goldwater. The fact is, the folks at the Heritage Foundation thought that Nixon was not at all sufficiently conservative for their purposes. These folks were not part of the mainstream. It's worth understanding that this is now a mainstream conservative agenda in America, but that's not what American conservatism was. It's not what the Barry Goldwaters of the world would have recognized.
Well, I think that in a lot of ways, conservatism is kind of a ratchet, right? It just kind of keeps on moving in only one direction. It can't really go backwards because every time conservatism fails, the solution is always more conservatism. There must be a conspiracy of the deep state to sell us out. It must have been Quislings. It must have been the left wing kind of, wreckers. So there's no way that conservatism can kind of go back to a milder, kind of thing, because
Because they painted that as socialism or liberalism, whatever. You know, there's nowhere to go because you've vilified the middle.
Although you see a lot of this stuff 100 years ago, right? I mean, in the 1920s, you could see that same kind of language, that having competent, non-ideological civil servants, that was a danger to government. I mean, that was a danger to corporations, right? So a lot of these ideas go way, 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 way back. And what they try and do is turn back the clock to a time before we had, reasonable regulation in the public interest, and they want to go back to the robber baron days.
Yeah, and that's very clear from reading this very difficult read. Rick, good to see you. Thank you for being here. It's a great conversation. Rick Perlstein is an important historian who focuses on modern American conservatism. He's a best-selling author of multiple books, including Reaganland, America's Right Turn, 1976 to 1980.